All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started with the program now. We might be having a few more that are going to be joining with us, but we want to thank you all for coming to our Junior on Track Night event this week. We held our senior last night, and tonight is for juniors, and we've got a lot of information to share with you and different guests that'll be happening throughout the program. And they will be introducing themselves during their sections of the program that we've provided for you tonight. And we appreciate all of our sponsors of the On Track events that you see on the screen right now. My colleague Britt is going to kick us off with a little program about things that juniors need to be doing during this time.
Thanks, Eric. Well, good evening. And again, like Eric said, thank you guys for spending your evening with us. We're going to focus solely on what's important junior year. But for those of you that might be new to ICAN, we are an education nonprofit here in the state of Iowa, and our entire mission is to help you find success in career, college, and life, everything for post-high school success. We have locations across the state, and we also do virtual advising. So anything you see there on the screen, every step of the career and college planning process, we can help you with. If you ever have questions, you want to sit down and talk with someone, either in person or virtually, we can help with career exploration, career planning, college planning, selection, big into the financial aid process once you get to be seniors. So just keep us in mind if you ever want to talk with someone. So two publications that we put together, and we'll drop those in the chat so you have access to those virtually. But we do a junior countdown calendar. So it'll go month by month through this year as you're going through junior year, and it'll kind of tell you step by step each month things you should be thinking about to keep yourself on track. And then we have our Life After High School guide to all things career and college planning. So we'll drop the links to those from our materials library in the chat so you can download and have access to those, but just some good reference points for the things that we're going to talk about tonight. So junior year is the year where you're really honing in on what are those next steps? What am I making decisions about next year as a senior? And so you really want to look at education and career goals and start thinking about where you might want to visit, what you might want to study, what you might want to do in terms of work. And the first part of that is setting some goals. So thinking about every year as part of your 4-year plan, your school will have you take some sort of career assessment, and you can use those results to kind of fill out your 4-year plan and gear some of your extracurricular activities, your elective courses, and even some of the potential education or training programs or majors that you look into around those assessment results. So career planning should be something that you're continually reflecting on and going back to. It's not something that just one day you sit down and you say, okay, now I have it figured out, and then you're done. It's an ongoing process. And throughout the rest of your high school career, you can use those experiences to build skill sets, to learn about different subjects, different topic areas that can help you hone in on the career area that you may want. It can also help you understand what steps you need to take to be able to afford whatever education or training you seek after high school. Not thinking about and having goals can maybe delay your progress and maybe cost more over the long term. So your career assessment is going to put you into what we call career clusters or pathways for you to explore. Every career out there is part of one of 6 career clusters. So the first 3 I have on the screen here, career paths that are in agriculture, natural resources, horticulture, food production, or the environment, that's in the cluster called Ag, Food, and Natural Resources. There's a cluster on applied sciences, technology, engineering, and math. Sounds a lot like STEM, just in a little bit reverse order. We have a cluster that's all about business, finance, marketing, and management. We have a cluster around health sciences, human services, which covers education, human services, hospitality, government, public administration, law. And then we have information systems, which is not IT. It does include IT, but it also includes any careers that are in the arts, graphic design, communications, audiovisual. Every career that you can possibly think of is in one of these 6 clusters. And this is how the state of Iowa organizes careers for searching as well. So when you find your cluster, then you can start exploring careers within that cluster. Part of what you want to be doing as a junior senior is looking at your 4-year plan. What's on your transcript this year? What's on your schedule? And make sure that you're continuing to challenge yourself as you do that exploration for career in college. Are you taking courses that challenge and push yourself to the next level? Are you preparing for your next steps? Follow your career pathway recommendations. A lot of times those pathways will tell you, if you're headed for health sciences, these are some high school courses you could take to further explore that. So look for recommendations and try and fill in the holes within your 4-year plan. Or make sure that if you're looking at a STEM career, maybe you're taking specific science classes or math classes to help you prepare for that. And then don't be afraid to go beyond the requirements that it takes just to get the high school diploma. High school graduation requirements can be very different than college admission requirements and even college graduation requirements. So meeting the bare minimum for high school graduation isn't the best way to prepare for college level academics. And then again, participating in extracurricular activities, volunteering in your community, or even working part-time is a great way to build those additional skills that will help you be successful. Review your 4-year plan. You're probably all set for this first semester, but you do have the ability to continue to adjust second semester and what you take senior year. So you should continue to look at that and make sure it's meeting your current needs, meeting your current interests. You can talk with your school counselor about how to do that. Keep track of your plan. Where are you at in meeting your graduation requirements? If you have some ideas of schools that you're interested in applying to next year, what are their admission requirements? Are you on track for both graduating from high school and meeting those admission requirements? So I talked about just a second ago saying that the minimum requirements for high school graduation may not be the optimum way to prepare for college. So graduation, you may only need to take 3 years of math or science or social studies to graduate from high school. Optimum preparation is to make sure that in those core areas of English, math, science, and social studies, that you have 4 years. You're going to have general education requirements regardless of what you major in. And there's a lot of data around students taking senior year off of a math or a science because they didn't need it to graduate, and then not being as successful when they take the college level. So make sure taking 4 years of all of those core courses is going to be your optimum preparation for college. And that's the same with world language. Any one language, optimum preparation is 4. You may not need 4 in college. You may need 2 depending on what college you're looking at. But if they do require 4 and you take 4 in high school, you've met that requirement. So additional information on why this is, our recommendation. College-bound students or students with specific career goals that are heavily focused in math and science, taking that 4th year off doesn't help you be as successful in that area. Take the 4th year of math and science. It also, I mentioned there's data out there. Studies show that taking a year off can lead to having to take remedial courses at the college level before you can take the course for college credit. You do have to pay for those remedial courses. So again, that could prolong your college experience. And those remedial courses often don't count for college credit. So you're paying for a class that doesn't go towards your degree. In terms of entrance exams, I know this is going to come up in the panel discussion for Q&A because there's a lot of different expectations and changes in admissions for each school. So I know they're going to cover that. So I'm going to just do the basics. This year is the year where you might want to think about taking the ACT or SAT. When you take that test, study and prepare. Don't go in blind. Actually put forth the effort. 1 or 2 point difference can make or break a scholarship. So you really want to take it seriously and then take it at least twice. For the ACT, you can really improve your score by taking it a second time, and your score can be part of a scholarship requirement for both colleges and private scholarships. We'll talk later in the panel discussion about entrance requirements and if a school requires the test for admission. A lot of schools have gone test optional, but what has not changed is requirements for aid. You may not need it to get into a college, but you may need it to get a scholarship. So it is important, and we still recommend having that standardized test score on your transcript so that you don't lose out on scholarship opportunities. And you may need it for a specific program. You might not need it to get into a college for general admission, but you may need it for specific programs. So we still recommend taking that test. For admission requirements, how you get into school next year when you start applying, We are going to use the Iowa Board of Regents admissions index as our example here. To get into any of the 3 state schools, you need a 245 or higher using this formula. The formula does use an ACT or SAT score. If you don't submit a score, they'll do what they call a holistic review, and I'm going to let them answer questions about that later. But at the very basic level, using this this formula, you put in your data, and if you have a 245, you're in, and then you know. And that's a really good basis. You can see that they look at, for admission, and they look at that test score. They also look at your high school GPA, and then they look at the number of core subject area courses that you've completed. Now, those core subjects are math, science, English, and social studies. So again, taking that 4th year also is going to boost your score here, because you're going to get 5 extra points in this score per course that you take as a senior. And then another important part of planning for college is getting involved outside of the classroom. Scholarships look at extracurricular activities, volunteering, if you do part-time work. You're also going to gain those skills of time management, leadership, teamwork. You're building skills in these extracurriculars that you can build some of them in the classroom, but these are great extra things that you can do to show that you're building and preparing for the future. A great way to track everything, if you don't already have an activities resume, I highly recommend you put one together. An activities resume tracks all of your achievements and your accomplishments in high school. What activities have you been involved in? How many years have you been involved? Keeping this all organized on a resume makes scholarship applications and admission applications a lot easier, because you don't have to try and remember everything. It's right there organized on that resume. You can also give a copy of your activities resume to anyone that you're asking to write you a letter of recommendation, so that in addition to how they specifically know you, they can reference things off of your resume that maybe they know a little bit about, but that would give them more detail to include in that letter. So an activities resume, we do have a template available on our website. I think Carrie's going to drop that into the chat as well. It's just icansucceed.org/activities resume. And you can use our template. It's a Word document to start building that if you don't already have one. The other thing just want to talk about tonight, things that you should consider as you're looking for your options next year. Make sure you're exploring all of your options. There are a lot of options for life after high school, and not all of it is that traditional 4-year degree. There are 2-year degrees. You could do an apprenticeship or a career training program, certificates, diplomas. Really explore all of your options and look at your career assessment results and the type of work environment and the type of learning environment that fits you. There are a lot of options out there, and you really want to make sure you're understanding all of those options before you make your decision. So there are college fairs. That's a great way to kind of dip your toes in the water of what colleges are out there before you decide where you want to visit. When you go to a college fair, visit at least 5 booths. You're there, you might as well take advantage. Don't just go to the schools that you have heard of or that you're aware of. Look around, there's a lot of variety. Compare the different schools. If you're going to a college fair through school, don't just go where your friends go. Don't be afraid to walk around, introduce yourself to some different schools, and learn about schools that you haven't heard from before. Go over the exhibitor list and see if maybe you've already heard of them. If there's somewhere new that sounds interesting, go visit their table, ask them some questions, collect some information. And then remember that admission counselors are really good at remembering people. That's their job. So make a good impression, especially if it's a school that you really are already interested in. Introduce yourself, handshake, posture, eye contact, have a good conversation. They will remarkably remember you. Even though there may be hundreds of people, if they make a good connection with a student, they're going to remember that. So you want to make sure you're making a good impression when you're at those college fairs. And then when you have an idea of where you want to visit, spring of junior year is a great time to start visiting campuses and doing those visits. You can make appointments and do campus tours. You can sit in on classes. You can meet with faculty and current students. Make sure that you check out all of the different options. You can sign up for a traditional tour. You can also ask to have things added on, so that you have, if there are specific things you're interested in, you just have to talk to admissions and say, I really want to come visit. These are the things I have questions on. These are the things I want to see. check out the dorm situation, check out the food situation. Is there a career center on campus? What are the activities like? What is student life like? Campus visits are a great way for you to get a sense of, do I fit on this campus? Does it feel like a second home? And that's really the importance of a campus visit. You can only learn so much about a college from reading their brochure or looking at their website. But being on campus, especially when students are in session, I know it's sometimes easier to do all of your visits over the summer or spring break, but you really want to go when school's in session so you get a feel for what the campus is like. So start writing down your impressions, how you feel, take notes while you're there, or when the visit's over, jot down, your closing thoughts, so that you can come back to that. But campus visits are a great way to really feel, am I going to feel at home here? Am I going to feel like I fit here? So as I sum up my section of this evening, it's your junior year. So here's the top things you should be thinking about as juniors. Focus on your grades and your involvement in high school. You've had 2 years under your belt so far. So your cumulative GPA, you've got 2 years here. Junior year is important. You're going to start getting into those upper level courses. You want to stay on top of those grades. You want to keep your GPA as strong as it can be, and get involved around campus, get involved around your community, and keep track of that involvement. Pick 7 to 10 schools that you're interested in based on research, and then schedule yourself some visits. Either, if your high school is going to take some visits, that's great. If you can connect with a friend or with your parents, go on some visits this year. Request information and go to college fairs. That's a really good place to start. And in a minute, I'm going to talk about a college fair that's coming up this weekend that will be a great place to start. When college representatives visit your high school, go talk to them. That's another great way to get to know a school before you know if you want to visit. And then you can start applying next summer. So this is the year to really do a lot of exploration so that you're ready to start applying as soon as you officially cross that line and become a senior. And then for the parents on the line, how can you help your juniors? Really talk about your expectations for both, the rest of high school and what your expectations are going to be when they take their next steps and go to college. What are your academic expectations? Do you have grade expectations? Are there going to be consequences to not meeting those expectations? Financial is a really important conversation to have early. You don't want the first how to cover college costs conversation to happen when you're filing the FAFSA as a senior and getting those financial aid packages back from colleges. You really want to talk about as soon as possible, like, is there a savings plan? Is there a plan to pay for college? Who is paying for what? Can you contribute? Are there spending limits? What is the family's plan? And if you don't have one and you need help formulating that plan, you can talk to an ICAN advisor. We're happy to help with that. Those are one of the advising sessions that we can help you with. And then social life, are you taking a car to campus? What are the other expectations? Are there things you do and don't want to get involved with on campus? Just start thinking about, as a family, laying out some of those expectations and having some of those conversations early. If you are not already signed up for the ICAN e-alerts, we do send out grade level alerts. So as juniors, we'll remind you of upcoming events, junior specific webinars that we do throughout the year. But the real thing with our alerts is when you become a senior, we do ICAN senior alerts. And there's about 50 or 60 emails that go out throughout the senior year that remind you of scholarship deadlines, when to file the FAFSA, application reminders, all the different steps and decisions that you have to make as a senior, we cover. So if you're not signed up yet for our e-alerts, you can do that by just visiting our homepage and clicking sign up. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter, which I know is called X now. I just haven't updated the icon. We're also on Instagram, and all of our webinars, and it's where this program will be when we're done tonight. We have a YouTube channel where you can go back and watch past recordings of our seminars and on different topics and things like that. This is what our homepage looks like. Right up here in the corner, you see Resource Library. That's where you can download all of our materials for free. You can go through all the different sections on our site for information as you're planning. If you do want one of those appointments, either virtual or in person, this is where you would go to schedule that. So lots of great information there. I did tease this a minute ago. The largest college and career fair in the state of Iowa. We host that every year, and it is this coming Sunday in Des Moines. It's actually Altoona, right next to Adventureland at the Prairie Meadows Conference Center. It runs from 1 to 3 on Sunday. It is a free event, and we have just about 96 exhibitors this year, representing colleges, universities from 9 different states. We have business and industry apprenticeships. We have a military representative as well. It's really a one-stop shop for starting to have those exploration conversations. So it's the largest fair that's held every year. So you're going to find the most variety in your options there. So if you don't have plans on Sunday, come on out to Prairie Meadows and check out the Golden Circle Fair. And now I'm actually going to turn it over to one of our guest speakers. So that's it for me. And Shelley, I'll give it to you.
Thanks, Britt. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. Really happy to be in front of all of you. My name is Shelley Adams. I work for ISL Education Lending. My role there is as a program administrator and also a communications specialist. I'm going to talk about the program I manage in a little bit, but I wanted to start off with, excuse me, a new scholarship that we've kind of revamped a little bit this year. We used to have 2 prior scholarships, and we kind of rolled them into one. And it is fantastic because we are allowing Iowa residents who are also undergrad students, college students, to apply for it. So the way it works is an Iowa high school student or an Iowa undergraduate student and their parent or guardian can register once for the scholarship between now and November 30th. So that's basically 2 opportunities, 2 entries for the scholarship per family. And then through random drawings, we're going to give away after November 45 $1,000 deposits into a College Savings Iowa account. One thing that will come to you then after you register are some tips about college and career going. So we'll be sending that in addition to what we normally do through our tools and other resources and SP3. So I'm going to talk about SP3 or Student Planning Pointers for Parents, which is the program that I manage. So I like to talk about it. It's my favorite thing to do. Essentially what it is it's for parents or guardians, specifically those who have 8th through 12th grade students. And any parent from any state in the United States can register for SP3. The only thing that we have is a prize component for our Iowa residents. But please, if you have others, friends and family in other states outside of Iowa, please encourage them to register for SP3 because they can get that knowledge delivered to them free. And it's really helpful as students go through their middle school, junior high, and high school experiences. One thing we were hearing is that many parents wished that the information could come to them earlier in their students' progression in school. And so 8th grade is kind of a pivotal year, when they're taking those assessments and creating their 4-year academic plans for in high school. So that's why we started at 8th grade and then all the way through 12th grade. But we base the information upon the time of year as well as the grade level of the student. So it's very, it's short little tips and information similar to what ICAN does and their newsletters and their tip service that they have. But we help prompt some conversations between, parents and their students. Sometimes when you add that third party into the equation, it helps the process a little bit, especially with some of the questions that we have available to parents to ask their students, maybe around the dinner table at night or while everyone's doing homework on a Sunday afternoon. But we do really talk about a lot of different subjects, not only GPA. We talk about, mental health a little bit. Even though we are a student loan company, we We kind of dabble in some of those other topics. And what it basically builds is kind of that triad between the school counselor, SP3, and the parents. And so it's just supporting that entire family as they help their student plan their post-secondary endeavors. So the registration is very easy. As I mentioned, it's free. Just go to www.sp3.org. We send out 2 emails each month. Each email contains a link to an article specific to those topics that we have timed for whatever time of year. Coming up for juniors, I think we're going to be talking about starting to look for scholarship opportunities. It's never too early to do that, especially with all of them that are out there. I do particularly like the fact that Britt mentioned talking about financials. When it comes to attending college, and we agree, college isn't for everyone. There are other opportunities, as Britt mentioned, other than that 4-year typical undergrad experience. But we talk about that, but we also talk about financial feasibility. And we're even as a student loan company, we want people to plan smart and borrow less, which is why we've created SP3, along with other tools and resources that families can use from our website free of charge. The best thing about SP3 for me is that I do get to give away free money. Every quarter, we have a random drawing for 40 participants to receive a $250 savings plan deposit. And while this program, the deposit can go into any 529 plan that a family might already have established, whereas the scholarship program, because of a partnership with College Savings Iowa, that has to go into a College Savings Iowa plan, which is so easy to set up. I have one set up for my granddaughter. It takes $25 and about 6 minutes to set it up. And then I have regular contributions going to it monthly from my paycheck. It's just it's a regular EFT withdrawal directly to her account. So that's the fun part about SP3, but we're also delivering really great information. ISL is a nonprofit. We've been operating in the state for over 40 years. And my background includes almost 20 years of financial aid experience. So I'm really engaged with parents, and I know what types of things they're thinking of, especially as they're dropping those students off at a residence hall. Financials are not easy to talk about, so we try to make it easy when it comes to our SP3 articles. So I'll hang around for a little bit. If anyone has questions through the chat, I'm happy to answer those. So, but good luck. You're getting great information from ICAN and from school counselors. So make it a full-time effort.
Thanks, Shelley. Our next guest is from Iowa College Aid. I believe Liz is on here, right?
Yes. Yep. Thanks. I am here. Thanks, Britt. Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Liz Yadoff with Iowa College Aid, and I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about another resource that you guys have access to. This one is a texting program, so you have the opportunity to opt into our texting program. It's for students and their parents ages or in grades 9 through 12. And similar to that email campaign, you can also get things delivered to your phone that is helpful as you go through the college going process. And you go to the next slide, please. And this is an example of some of the things that we send you each month. So you'll get scholarship information. Once you're a senior, we'll help you through the FAFSA completion process as well, and helping you through with college applications. But we're really just sending you college going information to help you get ready for that next step. So it's really beneficial for both students and parents if you are looking to just get more knowledge and more information about that process, and some tips and helpful information about it. And finally, this is how you sign up. So quick and painless. You can either scan the QR code right on your screen, or you can go to our website at iowacollegeaid.com/virtual coach and sign up there. So super easy, and I hope to be chatting with you guys soon.
Thanks, Liz.
Yeah, of course. Thank
So
you.
that is all of our PowerPoint throwing information at you. And now I'm going to turn it back over to Eric, and we're going to start our panel discussion where you guys can start asking us the questions that are just at the top of your mind. So use the chat and give us your questions. And Eric, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Britt. Thanks, Shelley and Liz for sharing your information with us about how to help students and families. That's one thing you're going to hear as a theme is you're not going to be doing this alone. A lot of places you can go for help along the way to help this process through everything that you're going to be going through. And we've got some great panelists tonight that are going to be discussing some advice with you, including some current college students in here that can give advice to students as well. I'm going to real quickly have us go around and just everybody introduce themselves. At first, we do have one school counselor tonight, Liz from Linn-Mar. Liz, I'll have you introduce yourself.
Yep. So I'm Liz Carter. I'm a school counselor at Linn-Mar. I've been at Linn-Mar for 11 years. So I've worked with all grade levels of students and helping prepare them for after high school plans.
Thank you for being with us tonight. And we've got a couple of colleges and university admissions folks as well that I've known for quite a while now from Wisconsin Platteville and UNI. I'll start with Chris at Wisconsin Platteville.
Evening, everyone. My name is Chris Kirkenbush. I'm a senior regional admission counselor for the University of Wisconsin-Platteville. My territory encompasses Iowa, and I do know both Terry and Eric for quite a few years now. If you're not familiar with Platteville, we're about 30 minutes from Dubuque, Iowa, but I am the person who visits your students' schools and your students and have conversations on what you're passionate about and kind of get you some information.
Thanks, Chris. And before I have Terry introduce herself, actually, Chris brought along a student tonight with us, and I think she just got out of practice. Taylor, thanks for joining us.
I did. I came right from practice to see everyone and to answer some questions. Well, my name's Taylor. I'm a fifth-year senior here at Platteville. I'm majoring in business management, and I'm also on the volleyball team here.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thanks again for taking the time out of your busy schedule. And then
Yeah, no problem.
Terry from admissions counselor from UNI. Terry.
Hi, everyone. I'm Terry Crumley. I'm director of admissions at UNI and have been doing this admissions thing for a long time. I'm also a mom of college students, so I've been on all different sides of it. And I have some wonderful UNI students with me today that I will let them introduce themselves.
Hello, everyone. My name is Fabian. You can call me Favi. I am a second year here at UNI, and I'm majoring in interior design.
Hi everyone, I'm Brenda. I am a fourth year at UNI. I'm studying criminal justice and criminology with a minor in legal studies, and I'm on the pre-law track.
Wonderful. Well, I know that maybe, I know for sure Brenda does because she's got something coming up as a leader with Dance Marathon, and Fabi might have to as well. I'm going to start off and get into the questions right away, and I'm going to start with you, three students here. Brenda, I'm going to start with you. Just starting off, what is some advice that you would give high school students that you wish you would have maybe known in high school that you do know now in college?
Definitely take more college credit classes, or like they were saying earlier in the presentation, take those 4 years of math, science, those like core classes, just because they are free in high school and you'll have to pay for them in college. Saves you a little bit of money and also a lot of stress, because I know college classes might be a little harder in college, dealing with like you have to like get your own food, you have to do your own laundry. Well, in high school, you probably like depend on your parents a little bit more. So definitely getting those classes out of the way earlier definitely helps a lot.
Bobby, same question to you.
I say one big thing that I probably can reflect back on in high school is I say right now, try to find your way, your study habits. Because I know when I was in high school, a lot of, especially with my friends too, we didn't really study for exams and stuff. But now here at the university, it's like every day I consistently have to study. And I know for my first year here at UNI, I was struggling to find that habit to build upon. So if it's just getting a quick scheme of notes to just look over, just try to build that study habit as soon as possible. So then once you're here at UNI or like whatever university you're in, it's a lot smoother to get into the studying habits. That's probably my biggest one.
Been good advice so far, but Taylor, any advice you would give?
I think one key advice I give is college and high school are completely different, and it's okay going into college undecided in your major. You don't have to figure it out right away. You don't have to go into college knowing what you want to do. You might not know what you want to do after 3 years of college. It's okay. You can change your major. You can decide your major 2 years in. Like, you do not have to stress about it now, because that's only going to make the transition from high school to college so much harder than it already has to be. So do not stress about having to pick a major right away. Undecided is perfectly fine, and no one's going to judge you for it.
Great, thank you. I'm gonna jump into our kind of piggybacking on this a little bit from an admissions side focus. Terry, I'll start with you. What is advice that you would give students just beginning to think about life after high school and potentially going to college?
Well, our students gave some really good advice, and I know that Britt mentioned some of the courses that you need to think about taking in high school to get you prepared for college. I think, first of all, I know this can be stressful and you're trying to do all the right things, and just take a deep breath. It's all fine. You have great people around you. You have great counselors. I know my kids luckily had people like Liz at Linmar that helped them out, and others. So you have people that are there to help you. So just don't be afraid to reach out. And all these wonderful ICAN folks are so helpful. And then, just do invest yourself in your classes, learn. The idea of college, the idea of high school is to help you learn and prepare for a career. So do your best just to, be involved in classes, pay attention, and that usually helps the grades. That in itself, just going after the grade without really thinking about learning and sometimes isn't really helpful. So think about learning, and then things will work out for you. And lastly, just enjoy high school. Enjoy it, have fun, but, and we're here to help you. So there you go.
Thanks, Terry. Chris, I'll put the same question to you. Any advice you would give students that are just beginning to think about as juniors their life after high school and potentially going to college?
Yeah, I'd like to piggyback a little bit on that undecided that Taylor was talking about. If you're really pulled in several different directions, try to have that discussion with your counselor at your high school. See if you can get involved with some of job shadows in different areas to see, number one, if you truly like that pathway, or if it's not something you're truly interested in. And you need to explore now, because you don't know in a year or two if you're going to go on the path to a 4-year degree or go trades. There's a lot of opportunity to invest a little bit of time now. So 3 or 4 years down the road, you're not feeling that hurt because you didn't do that in the beginning. I would also make a suggestion that when admission counselors come to schools, really sit down and have just a casual conversation. We're not going to bite. We're just here to help you. A lot of us have had students go through college. I have one that's graduated and working now, so I know what that's like. We're just here as a resource, and we just want to be able to help you and guide you correctly. And even if it's not with our school, it may be a different school that we're able to make a suggestion with.
Thanks, Chris. I'm going to take it over to our school counselor, Liz. Liz, I was going to ask you a question about what are important things students should be doing during the high school junior year. But if you could also not limit it to this, but tie it into, there was a couple of questions about ACT, PSAT, and for juniors, what is the best way to prepare for ACT or SAT as well?
Yeah, so the PSAT is a practice test for the SAT essentially. So it mirrors the SAT in a lot of ways, but it also is just a good practice test in general for students to take their junior year. It also is used for national merit qualification, which is a national scholarship organization that is like the top 1% of students then are considered national merit finalists, which we have usually several students at Linmar that qualify of our junior class. So that's what the PSAT is. So it's a good practice test. We do at Linmar offer for sophomore year. I know this is juniors, but if you do have younger students, sophomores, we do offer the pre-ACT for students to take, which is also another good practice test. In terms of the ACT or SAT. So the PSAT is not used for any college admissions or anything like that. So we'll be talking just about the ACT or SAT in terms of college admissions. We generally, back a while ago, it was kind of a coast schools were the SAT and then middle region was ACT. That is an old myth that all schools will take either test. I tell students to take what test they feel the most comfortable with, because they do test different things. ACT is testing what you already should know through your junior year, where the SAT is going to ask you some questions that you may not know the answers to. So it's testing your potential knowledge. And the ACT is more widely given around our area. So we offer the ACT at Linn-Mar High School. Marion High School also alternates dates with us. It's also offered at a bunch of different area high schools around the state, where often the SAT is more limited in terms of where you can take it. If you're not sure which one, you can take both. We've had students that have taken both too, but get a feel of what those questions look like. There's tons of different sample questions online. There's lots of different practice options as well online in terms of preparation for it. We offer prep courses or prep sessions at Linn-Mar for students to take advantage of as well. So just checking with your school counselor in terms of what those opportunities are, either at your high school or around the area.
Thanks, Liz. I'm going to transition it back to the students right now. And Taylor, I'm going to start with you. What were the factors most important to you in picking a college?
One of the key factors for me was being far enough away from home where I can be an adult and live my life and start to process how being adult actually is without having your parents right by your side. But it was also close enough to home where I was able to go home on a weekend if I missed my family or if I missed my dog. And then another one from being an athlete point of view was, do I see myself at this school if I were to, God forbid, get hurt? You know, like I felt like I was at home at the campus, whether I was an athlete or not. So the key factor is like, do I feel like I belong here as a student itself? And then the athlete part was just a little bonus for me.
Thank you. Great points. Great point. We had a student last night that kind of said the same thing on that was in your similar situation. So great point. Bobby, same question to you. What were the factors most important to you in picking a college?
For me, it was definitely the size of the campus. I'm someone that doesn't really like to travel far for to get between classes. So that's one of the main issues that I was looking into, was the size of campus. And for me personally, with UNI, everything is so close together where it's just everything is walkable distance rather than taking a bus or taking your car to classes, which is really convenient for me. Especially my parents did love it too. So
great. And Brenda?
For me, it was also the size of campus. If I felt like when I did my tour, I talked to some of the girls that did my tour, and they were like, these professors really connect with me, they talk me through stuff, versus at other campuses, they were like, oh, they're not really helpful. So that kind of made me also choose this college, but also the financial side. The college I go to, UNI, has a lot of potential for different scholarships. So that really drew me in to this college especially. But that's kind of what I was looking for in a college.
Great. Thank you. Now, we've gotten some more questions about ACT and SAT. And there was a question on any drawbacks to taking them both. Can we control which test scores are released to colleges? Who controls the release of the information? So Chris and Terry, and say, Chris, I'll start with you first this time. How does UW-Platteville look at the ACT? Maybe addressing some of these questions that were in the chat box.
The ACT is never going to hurt, or the SAT. It's great preparation for college. It gets you in that mindset of what school is going to be like. So we would never dissuade any student from taking the ACT. It can only help at our school. Platteville does not require an ACT score or SAT score. We look holistically at our students, so we're going to factor in, of course, the classes they took, any dual credit classes, volunteer clubs, orgs, working, all of that. So we will factor in the ACT if you want to submit it. But where it may make a big difference is for merit scholarship or new freshman scholarships. We don't have a ton of scholarships that are tied into it, but there are a few. And the better the score, the more likelihood you're going to be eligible for some of those scholarships. So for example, I will say that our merit scholarships are based on your transcripts that you're sending in to us for review for admission. If your GPA is maybe not super stellar because you had a hiccup, let's say during COVID or something, but your ACT score can help bring that score up in combination with your GPA, your eligibility for a higher merit scholarship that's renewable may be affected. So that's how we look at that. Again, I would encourage any student to take the ACT or SAT and take it multiple times also as well.
Thank you. And we've gotten some questions on about taking that test again and taking it more than once. I just want to quickly really say that usually almost all colleges are going to take the highest score of what you do, that there's generally not any downfall in retaking it again. Even if you get a lower score that second time, the colleges would take your first score if that's what you want to go towards your admissions application. And if you don't want that score released or to be looked at by the college or university, then those that are test optional won't take that into place. Of course, we've got Terry here from UNI that can probably explain that and some of the questions that are coming up a little better than me.
No, you're doing a great job, Eric. Yeah, basically, colleges, any score that's sent to us, we will always generally look at the highest score. And I say generally because that's what UNI does. But there are some colleges that you probably want to check, especially somebody asked about out-of-state colleges. You probably do want to check a college's website or check with their admissions staff and ask that question. When I apply, if I apply with a certain score, is that the score that you keep? Most colleges will always go with the highest score. Now, you do not have to, someone asked about, do I have to release your score? No, you don't have to. You can take it and say, I don't want it sent anywhere. When you sign up for the ACT or SAT, you list the colleges you want that score sent to. And if you say, you don't list any colleges, it doesn't get sent. And that's great. The downside of that is later, if you want to send a score, you might have to pay extra to have that score sent. So you can kind of go either way and do what's best for your situation. The other thing is, depending on when your student takes the test, you know, a lot of times there might be some growth between a junior year and a senior year, but at a certain point, there's not going to be a lot of increases. And you're just putting a lot of stress on yourself and your children if you're just taking tests. So I'd be cautious that I wouldn't go too crazy on retaking. I would think about making sure I have through algebra. Usually that April junior year is a good time to take the first one, and then maybe just take one again in the senior year. But what we don't see like major growth after a certain period of time. And I might actually ask Liz at Linn-Mar if she sees what she sees. So
yeah, that's generally what I tell students too. I tell them to try and students and families to try and have one test done before the summer of before their senior year, so before their junior year ends. Like Terry said, I think the standard margin of error is really just like a point or two generally from and we do see it plateau unless the student is doing something super drastic in terms of prep. We have seen students' scores go up. Either they've taken some of the classes that we offer at Linn-Mar that kind of really focus on, we have a college grammar class that really focuses on that grammar piece of the ACT. But generally, students get test fatigue after taking it several times, where if you take it before going into your junior year, or I'm sorry, before the summer of your senior year, you have time to retake it during your senior year still. And the college people can speak on this, but colleges, from what we've been told, will take up until like the February test date for scholarship purposes. And so students can submit a score up until then. And also, I would also say in terms of releasing scores, like Terry said, that you choose when you register for these tests where you want to send your scores to. And if you don't want to send it to any schools, you don't have to put that on there. The other thing is to check with your school if they put your score on their transcript. So we used to automatically put ACT scores on transcripts, but with so many schools going test optional now, we have taken them off. So just double check on that, because schools are sent your ACT scores automatically if you put your school on there. And so some schools do put them on the transcript automatically. But you can ask for it to be taken off if they do that.
I just want to emphasize again that I think Britt had mentioned this when she quickly went over it in the very beginning. Check with each individual college on this, because every college can be just a tad bit different on how they look at things and what might be. If you have questions on what would be a good score, ask the colleges and universities. They'll tell you whether or not it would be an advantage for you, what the advantages would be to utilize it. The only reason why I bring that up was 2 years ago, with all of this test optional starting to happen, there was a student in the state of Iowa looking at a college in the state of Iowa that did not submit their 34 ACT score in when they could have got a full tuition ride in time. And the reason that they thought that was because it wasn't a perfect 36. 34 is a great score. You don't remember it. 34 is a great score on the ACT. And so if you would have asked about that at first, the admissions reps from that college would have told them to get it in and make sure they did, so that they didn't miss out on that scholarship. So check with each individual college about some of these questions that you are bringing up, and they are going to let you know how it's looked at their school. Now, I want to go back to the college students, because I know a couple of them might have to leave here in just a bit. And Brenda, I'm going to start with you this time. What was a high school experience that really prepared you for your transition into college?
Let's see. It was like 4 years ago. Can we start with Fabi so I can get a little bit of time to like think about it?
Yeah, I can go ahead.
Okay.
I'd say probably connecting with my high school teachers and like getting like tips and like advice from their perspective on when they went. I know I really got connected with one of my high school teachers, and she was able to like, she was like a second counselor to me. So getting connected with her was able to like help me transition into college, and also getting involved with other student orgs and like activities also helped a lot, especially getting those leadership opportunities, and those prepared me for when I came into the university, which was really great.
Taylor, how about you? What were some high school activities that helped you transition, you felt helped you transition into college?
One of the big ones was also my counselor. I think knowing myself, knowing what I wanted to do in college helped my case with, well, what classes in high school can I take to prepare me for the major that I'm going to go into in college? But then I ended up changing. So then I had to go back and talk to my college counselor now to do that. And then I also think going to the career fairs that we had at high school, even though I didn't know a lot about college at the time and what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go, going and getting my name out there and seeing what places have what I want to do and what I think I want to do really helped me step up one level compared to if I didn't go to them and see what other schools had to offer.
Thank you. And again, that kind of leads into, we've got a college fair this Sunday at the Golden Circle College Fair. So let me put in one more plug for that to come out from 1 to 3 in Prairie Meadows in Des Moines. Thank you, Taylor, for teeing that up for us again. Brenda, coming back to you, if you've thought of something that in a high school experience that helped you prepare your transition into college.
I feel like keeping a busy schedule definitely helped me in high school or college, because college can get really busy real quick, especially those first couple weeks. You're overwhelmed with new orgs, different homework, different professors throwing things at you. So definitely having that busy schedule in high school already definitely helped me prepare for college.
You're on mute, Eric.
I knew I was going to do that at least one. I think I did it before when we were making the transition over to Fabi. So sorry about that. 3 strikes and you're out. 3 strikes and you're out. That's 2 on me now. So, Terry, since you caught me there, let me come to you first. How do you set up a campus visit, and what advice would you give students to do on their campus visits?
Well, fortunately, it's really easy. On our website at the very top on the homepage, it says visit, and you click on it and it will show you the different options. UNI and many other colleges have usually a couple different options. One is a daily visit. So if you just want to come during the week, it works for you, and you want a slightly smaller group, it's probably better to come during the week. And we can set you up with faculty, and we can set you up with, admission and a tour of campus and all that. And then we also have what are called Panther visit days, or larger group visit days. And those are usually a couple hundred people, and do a little bit more. There's a big resource fair and those kinds of things. So either option is great. When you want to visit campus is really up to you and your time frame. I think starting in your junior year is really great to think about, seeing some different options and, just seeing what's out there. So we really invite you to come to campus. There are virtual tours online, but there's nothing like meeting the people that are who the college is. It's one thing to see the visuals and pictures, but it's a whole nother thing to meet people. So I would encourage you to visit.
Before I go to Chris, I'm actually then going to ask the students that you brought on, because I think Brenda and Fabi might have to go soon anyway. So I wanted to ask Brenda, I'll start with you at first. On your campus visit, what was something that was eye-opening to you on your campus visit to UNI, and is there any advice that you would give students to make sure they do on any campus visit that they attend?
So seeing it in pictures was definitely not the same as coming in person, because in pictures it looked so big, and honestly, UNI is not that big. You can get somewhere from one side of campus to the next within 10 minutes. So coming on that tour definitely helped me actually visualize my life here. Oh yeah, I can walk to my dorm to my classes within 10 minutes. I don't have to get up extra early. What was the second part of that question? Sorry.
What would be something that you would encourage every family to do on any campus visit? Because I'm assuming, maybe not, but I'm assuming you went on more than one maybe campus visit. What is something that you would encourage them all to make sure that they do on a visit?
So you do talk to professors and stuff, but I feel like talking to the actual students helped me more, because they know what life is like at the college. So just asking them questions definitely helps a lot. Yeah.
Thank you. Fabi, same question to you. What was something that really helped cement your decision on the campus visit to UNI, and any advice on any visits that students and families should do?
So what I did when I remember when I was coming here for the first time was I went during the weekday. So that's probably the biggest, was seeing students transitioning from one class to another to get that perspective. And advice I'd probably give many students is to ask questions specifically about the major that you're interested in, and to actually see how it looks like with students in the classroom. Because I feel once you see how it looks in the class, that's when you feel your vision yourself into those classrooms. So that's probably the biggest thing, is to ask to see if you can see a class in perspective, to see how students are engaging, especially the sizes too. That can be a little intimidating, but once you come here, especially with UNI, I know it's really small. It's almost like high school, 25 students per classroom, which is really nice. So definitely getting the feel of how it looks in the classroom is definitely something beneficial that I ask.
Great, thank you. Now, before I ask Taylor, Chris, I'm going to come back to you with the question I gave to Terry. How do you set up a campus visit at your school, and what's some advice you would give to students and families to take advantage of on the campus visit?
It's pretty easy at Platteville. On the website, there are 3 orange buttons on the right-hand side, and one is visit. When you click on that, you're going to have the options of visiting during the week. The one day you are unable to visit is on Wednesdays. We have our group visits for high schools and middle school scheduled then. But there's going to be a morning and afternoon visit. Typically, you will have the presentation, and then you'll have your tour guides. And I think it's really important to try lunch at your schools that you're visiting. You want to make sure you like the food. So we have that included. And then we have a 1 o'clock meeting with professors within the area or program that you want to study. I think that is a key feature that we have, because you get to sit down and talk about that pathway. Sometimes they also include some students within that major. So you really can get a feel of internships, study abroad programs, what my 4-year course plan is going to look like, excuse me. So that really kind of solidifies if this is the vibe that I feel on the campus, and I feel connected with my professors, as well as, the regular campus community as well. Our daily visits are probably going to limit about 20 with family, but then we have those Saturday visits as well, just like UNI has. They're going to be a little bit bigger. We're going to have a little more resource fairs, where we have the Disability Access Center, we'll have the Career Placement Center, we'll have the Right Center for veterans. So there'll be a lot of different access to support programs that you may have. But we also have specialty visits where, let's say you want to be a teacher, but you're unsure of that pathway. We'll have Education Shadow Day, Construction Career Day, Medical Exploration Day, and those are all on the website. Advice, I would actually have students and their families when they're on campus ask if they could visit with, let's say that they're passionate, a student is also passionate about art or music or robotics, if they can also talk to some of those support programs, because we are always talking about getting your degree, your core classes, but college is half the time learning about yourself and trying new things. So I would encourage that as well when you're on campus. And going during the school year is the best way to get a feeling of what that school is going to be like. When you come in the summer, there's not as many professors, there's not as many students on campus, so you may not get a good indicator of what that will be like. And don't feel bad if you have to come back a second time. All of us would encourage that.
Thank you. So Taylor, what was something that stuck out to you that on the campus visit that helped make the decision to go to UW-Platteville? And what is some advice you would give to any student going on college visits?
Yeah, so something that stuck out to me the most is the people. I just think knowing that people are friendly to you, and you ask these questions and have these conversations, and they're encouraging you to continue to ask questions about the campus, and they're teaching you and they're telling you, oh yeah, this is awesome. Here's something that I think we need to add. Like, they're involving themselves and making sure you have an experience where if you come to campus, maybe that's going to be you doing that to the next 4 years of high schoolers that are coming along. And then something that I would give as advice is, yes, you're going to be on campus for the 4 years, but also you're going to be in that city or town for 4 years. So don't just look at the campus, look at the town and the city around it. Like, I came from a suburb of Chicago, so coming to Platteville and small town Platteville was a completely different change for me. So I wanted to make sure that I felt like I was here at home, not just on campus, but also in Platteville itself as a whole. So I think don't just look at the campus, look at the town that it's in, the city that it's in, like the surrounding areas. So you don't just have to stay on campus those 4 years, you can go venture out.
Thank you, Taylor. Now, some of you might have a different perspective, though, in the same way as Taylor. You might have been coming from a small city looking at big city of Cedar Falls and Platteville if you were like me, coming from a town of 1,000. So it really, I think that is great advice, whichever your perspective is to make sure you feel comfortable in the city or town that it is too. So thank you very much. I want to go back to Liz and ask her a question. What are some events and activities that you would encourage juniors to do this year? We've kind of talked a lot about, visiting even campuses and taking the ACT, but what are some other activities that they should be doing?
Yeah, so I think Chris mentioned doing a job shadow for students. I talked to so many students in their junior year that haven't even done a job shadow of a career that they're interested in. And I think that is so important to be able to just either solidify that that's what you want to do, or have an opportunity to ask questions of someone that is in that career, or to kind of decide, no, that's not what I thought it was, and that's not what I want to do. It's better for you to do that now than when you are in college and you're paying money or you get out of college. So while, yes, going in with an open major is okay, I tell students, but having an idea of areas that you're interested in, I think, is important. Also, visiting the admissions people when they come to our schools. So we are so fortunate to have great resources that come directly to our school. And oftentimes kids do not take advantage of that. And it's just really, really important. I tell students, I know general answers to questions about colleges, but I can't know the specifics of every single college that they are interested in. And so that's why taking advantage of those admissions people when they come to campus is key. Also, if you've done a job shadow, lots of times students will have opportunities to do internships. Our students have that opportunity through workplace learning, which that's just a more in-depth opportunity for students to take advantage of as well. And visiting campuses. So we talked about that in addition to a bunch of other things, but again, oftentimes I will talk to students that they haven't even stepped foot on an official visit for a campus that they are saying that they're going to. Going and visiting a friend at that college is completely different than going on an official visit, in my opinion. You're able to talk with professors, you're able to see classes, you're able to talk specifics about financial aid and helping to pay for college, just all of that stuff that you just don't know. And then the last thing is also taking classes that give you that exploration in the careers that you're wanting to go to. Same thing. I've talked to many of our students that are interested in going into engineering, but they've never once taken one of our engineering courses that we have offered for students, which, again, how do you know that you want to do something if you haven't had that direct career exploration in that, what your potential classes are going to look like in college in that area too?
Thanks, Liz. You've kind of mentioned, one of the things you were talking about, job shadowing, internships. Taylor, I'm going to start with you. Did you do a job shadow or internship while in high school?
In high school, I did not do a job shadow or internship, but in college I did because it was required for my major. But in high school, I just worked and I somewhat remotely made it to what I wanted to do in college, but then I ended up switching majors come my sophomore year. So inevitably it wasn't something that I needed anymore.
Was there anything eye-opening or any comment you would have about the internship in college that you did?
Networking. Just the keyword networking. It helps you so much for in the future, like the people you get to talk to and the interactions you get to have, no matter if they're in the position you want in the job, if it somewhat aligns with the job area you want, you will get a beneficial idea out of everything.
Thank you. Bobby, did you do any kind of job shadowing or internship in high school and or college?
I haven't yet as of now. Even in college, even in high school, I haven't done any of those, but I do have in high school. I remember doing a job shadow. And with that, it was pretty eye-opening to see how it is in the real world, with what I'm studying. So definitely if it's possible to just look at some type of work you're interested in, to reach out hey, I'm a high school student. I was looking to see if I can get some type of shadow just to see how it is in the real world. That's how I did it when I was in high school. Was I just reached out to this firm that I was learning about, and I just reached out to them. So definitely just getting connected as soon as possible is definitely beneficial, because that's when it sets you apart from other people, is as soon as possible to just get connected with other people.
Did you, during that job shadowing, was it a positive experience, or was it something you found out that you didn't want to do?
So at the time, I wasn't shit in accounting. So that's when I went to an accounting firm, and that's when I saw that it's something I didn't really want to do, but it was definitely cool to see. And then after that, that's when I looked into interior design. That's when I job shadowed over there, and that's when I figured out this is maybe something I really wanted to do, because back then I was stuck between interior design or accounting. And when I was able to see those two in perspective, that's what really drew my eye towards what I wanted to do for my career, which is pretty cool to see.
Absolutely. There is nothing wrong with finding out what you don't want to do too. I mean, if you have that experience, that's why I was curious about that. We had a student last night that was the same way when they did one and knew they absolutely didn't want to do something. And it's like, that's what you want to know. That's what you want to find out and help narrow down. So that is great. Chris, let me come to you first this time. How important are junior and senior year classes?
You know, they're super important because students sometimes forget that you challenge yourself in high school. You're going to be having those grades reflected on your transcripts. You're getting the base education that you need and pushing yourselves to challenge yourselves. So they're important. We will look at, did a student challenge themselves? Maybe they only took 3 years of math and they want to be an engineer. But why didn't they, what kind of question, why didn't they take that 4th year of, you know, advanced calculus or whatever it may be? So they're important because they set you up so seamlessly to make that transition from senior year in high school to college, and you're not having that knowledge gap. So it is important. We like to see that progression, that challenge, like I said, because your ultimate goal is to possibly follow in this career pathway, and we want to make sure that you're set up correctly. Also, I will just caution everyone who is taking any dual credit courses, just remember that you have started your college career. And those transcripts are reflecting what you've taken on your first leg of college. So when they come in, and if the student's not performing quite as well as we would like, we kind of question, you know, are they dedicated to pursuing this pathway? So remember, you're starting a college career. If you're taking those dual credit courses, take the time, do well. And if you're not prepared to do that, I would suggest even not taking them. Really concentrate on those high school courses and do well in those first and take those secondary.
Thanks, Chris. Terry, anything to add on to the importance of junior, senior classes?
I mean, again, I know grades are important, and I had 2 kids that went to college, but it's really investing in what you're learning in those classes and making sure that you're thinking about, how does this prepare me for the future? And if you just take some time and really try to like learn, the rest of it happens. So I just can't talk enough about learning in your classes. And that helps you in college, helps you throughout your life if you just really embrace learning in what you do. So that's my 2 cents.
We had a question. I think maybe Liz might be able to answer this. Does dual credit mean the same thing as AP?
No. So AP courses, you have to take the AP exam at the end of the year and score a certain score that your school that you end up going to requires to get credit for that course. So generally it's a 3 or higher out of 5, but more and more we're seeing schools require a 4 or higher on that exam. Where dual credit courses, you automatically get the credit to whatever institution you took it through and the grade, and then that transfers or stays with you at that institution that you took it through or transfers. So again, as someone asked a question about out of state and advice for that, I always tell students that are taking dual credit courses to, if they're looking at schools out of state, sometimes those don't transfer as seamlessly as in-state schools do, and so just checking with those schools about that as well. Where the AP courses, those are easily transferable with your score that you take from the test at the end of the year.
Thank you. I'm going to come right back to you, Liz, and ask this question. This might seem like one of the negative questions, but I think it's something we still need to get out there. And that is, what are some mistakes that you see students make as high school juniors, and how can they avoid those?
So I kind of touched on it a little bit with my previous answer as well, but not visiting colleges again. And then I also would say not taking advantage of things that your high school counselors are doing across the state of Iowa. There's so many fabulous counseling programs that are doing great things and bringing in different programs, people, admissions people, that we have students that just don't take advantage of those things. But then after, they're like, oh, I wish that I would have known XYZ. And it's like, oh, well, we had a presentation about that and 5 kids showed up. So just taking advantage of all those things that your schools are already offering, or even just going in and asking questions to your school counselor and asking questions of your teachers and just inquiring about different things.
Taylor, I'm going to kind of ask that question the same way to you. Maybe it's not a mistake, but what is something that you wish you would have did in high school now that you didn't, and you would encourage the juniors right now to do?
I remember someone saying something about how juniors and seniors like slack off, like it's the end of high school, like you're not really going to put in as much effort. I would recommend to still put in the effort. Don't let the senioritis or the senior feeling, I forgot what it's called, but don't think that just because you're a senior, your classes do not count or they don't matter. They matter. Trust me. Like, you're going to think it doesn't, like the class you're taking just to take, still do good in it. Like, who cares if it's just a class you had to take it for a credit? Just do good in it. Like, take your classes seriously, even if you're a senior. I will stand by it.
We won't get into specifics, but you sound like you're very convicted on that. So
yes.
Well, great. Well, we're starting to wind down here right now, getting towards the end of the night. And if there are any last minute questions to ask, please put them in the chat and we'll do that. But what I'd like to do now is, and I think Terry and Chris is used to me. We've been on presentations before where we've done this. So I'm going to start with them. I just want to go around to everyone, and Brenda and Fabi, appreciate them coming on. They had other commitments to make. They already had to jump off right now. And Taylor, thanks for being able to stick around just for a few more minutes. But we appreciate them. They had other activities to go to. But I wanted to ask everyone, what is one last bit of advice that you would give to high school junior students and parents right now, reemphasizing maybe something that we did cover, or maybe something that we haven't yet that you would want to let them know? And Terry, I will pick on you at first because I think we've done this before together. So to allow the others to do it, let me start with you on any advice that you would give.
Again, just don't be afraid to reach out with questions. Like, all of us have little specifics. Each college has something that's slightly specific about what they do. So just that's what we're here for. My job exists to serve all of you. So please reach out and ask questions. And last thing, really do enjoy high school. Having had 2 high school students, it goes so fast. And enjoy this time and enjoy this period of being with your children and making these decisions. And students, enjoy your time, because 2 years from now, you'll be in college, which is a wonderful time too, but high school is fun. So enjoy your time.
Thanks, Terry. And thanks very much for being here and also getting Brenda and Fabi as well. Thank you. Chris, I'll come to you next.
I would stress that it's never too early to really make sure that you, the student, and your family are connecting and communicating. So many things get lost in translation. I thought you were doing that, or we're just not connecting. So I would actually suggest that as you start to look at colleges, maybe once as you're a junior, every 2-3 months, have a Sunday sit down at 7 o'clock and say, hey, what are we going to do over the next couple months? What schools are we going to visit? Are you going to do job shadows? What did you hear about FAFSA from your counselor? Have a connection so that conversation is real easy to pick up again as you go through the process, because there are a lot of things that are going to get thrown at you as you apply to universities and colleges. And just so you're all on the same page, it'll make it go a lot smoother.
Thank you, Chris. And again, thank you for being here and having Taylor come on. Before I go to Taylor, I'll give you a little more time as a student. We'll be nice right now for you. I'm going to go to Liz. Liz, any last bit of advice to high school junior families that we covered, or maybe something we didn't?
So mine would probably be to students. So do what you want to do, not what friends are doing, significant others, what older siblings have done. Really make sure that you're thinking for yourself and making the decision that's best for you. There's no wrong decision in this process at all, but there is a right decision as far as what's for you.
Well, thank you, Liz, and thanks again for taking the time out to be here with us tonight too. Really appreciate it. Taylor, from a student perspective, what is some last advice you would give to high school juniors right now?
I had two, but Terry took my first one and then Liz took my second one, but I have a third one, don't worry. This one would be more geared towards the parents. Let your student like take initiative in doing this whole college experience. Like, sorry, the lights just went out in the classroom I'm in. Let your students take the initiative in figuring out their college experience. Like, stay on the back burner if they need you. Let them know that you're there for them, but let them do this experience themselves. Like, it'll go so much further for them, and they'll know what to do, and they'll have those experiences as an adult. Like, you start them as the adult by letting them do this process for themselves.
Well, thank you, Taylor. Thanks again for getting right in from practice and taking the time tonight to be with us.
No problem.
But my last bit of advice was just what you had said. So you stole mine right on there. Dad of a high school senior right now during the junior year last year and going on visits, it was trying to allow her going on there as parents. Go on with them. You're going to learn things about colleges, even though you might have been there many times that you've never seen on these campus visits. I think it was Liz that might have said that to the students and families, making sure to go on these official visits, not if you've just been there and visited other things before, because you're going to see things you've never seen before and definitely a different perspective. But have the students take charge of that. Have them be the ones to sign up for those campus visits, going to the UNI or UW Platteville website and signing up for those visits and setting them up and doing that. It does give them more, I think, the more ownership of it, that it's actually their education and decision that they are making. So yeah, I think we're all stealing from each other, but it's all good advice. That's why we were doing that. And we hope that you looking to see if there's any last minute questions. I'm not seeing any last minute questions right now that have popped up, and we're at the end of our time. So the last thing that I will leave you is, if you have any questions or need any more information working one-on-one, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at ICAN. Talk to your school counselors, talk to your college admissions counselors, but also, as was mentioned, when you go and actually visit these colleges, have students and parents be asking the current college students questions as well. You're going to gather a lot of information along the way. We were asked about a resource for pre-ACT or pre-SAT, or before you take before you take the test. Liz, I don't know if you have any mentions of resources there. I was just going to mention about going to those websites, the College Board for the SAT and the ACT.org website as well. Most of those have practice questions from past tests broken up into different subject areas if a student struggling with one subject, where they can do a lot of practice at that time. But Liz, do you have any other advice with resources?
Yeah, that's also what we suggest. There are some different area paid resources. I'm not going to throw any names of any specifics out there, but you can always talk with your school or school counselor to see if they kind of have any that they've had students use in the past. There's also books that our school library has copies of that students will use. I know that seems pretty old school, but we do have students that use those and they are still publicized. But we generally have students go directly to the College Board or ACT website to start. I don't know if any Terry or Chris or Taylor have any other.
I think what you said, that's what we tell students the same. So yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're going to go ahead then and end the webinar now. Thanks again for those that attended. Thanks to all of our panelists for being here. Good luck with this junior year coming up. And was mentioned throughout this, if you have questions, you've seen all these resources to take advantage of, please do. Plenty of resources here to help guide you through this college planning and journey as you go through it the next couple of years. So everyone have a great rest of the week and contact us if you have questions later on. Thank you.